right, we got some big news here, guys. Bill Clinton has testified over his involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, you guys know that Bill Clinton is seen numerously throughout the Epstein files. There's a number of photos, there's a number of emails that directly point to him. Now, going into the Epstein files, I did tell you that you need to put partisan bias aside, right? Like, you got to understand that there are people implicated on both sides of the aisle. And I have to say, it was quite frustrating to see what I saw during Bill Clinton's testimony on social media, where a number of people who are part of the Democratic Party were trying to do everything that they could to exonerate Bill Clinton, to excuse Bill Clinton, to defend Bill Clinton. I saw the same thing earlier on when I talked about a previous release of the Epstein files, where I saw Republicans trying to do the same thing to and for Donald Trump. And I want to be very clear about this. The Epstein files are not partisan. The Epstein files are not just about trafficking. It is about corruption overall, whether it's foreign policy, heads of state, rituals, other sick acts that we've talked about before. And people have to understand that corruption is not partisan. Corruption is based on power, and that power is based on class. Now, before we get into Bill Clinton's statement, I just want to remind you of another example when Bill Clinton spoke directly to the American people and lied to your face. Let's all go back, shall we? During Bill Clinton's presidency, here's Bill Clinton, here is Hillary Clinton, standing by her man, as she always has, regardless of what accusations came out against him. Just a reminder what he said about Monica Lewinsky.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Terry Riley, Florida Community Learning Centers. And, I'm very proud of what we've done there. Now, I have to go back to work on my State of the Union speech. And I worked on it till pretty late last night. But I want to say one thing to the American people. I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again. I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I never told anybody to lie, not a single time, never. These allegations are false, and I need to go back to work for the American people. Thank you.
And of course, you'll see there's Hillary Clinton again standing beside him. And I just want to remind everybody what Bill Clinton said after this, after DNA evidence proved that he was lying because Monica Lewinsky hadn't washed that blue dress. And certain aspects of Bill Clinton remained on that dress, if you know what I'm talking about. Had it not been for DNA evidence, Bill Clinton would have stood by this statement. Hillary Clinton has always stood by Bill Clinton. You couldn't tell me, even then, in that moment, you couldn't tell me a million times, couldn't tell me that she didn't know that her husband was having sexual relations with the White House intern. She knew. Women know. We always know. And Hillary is no different. So later on, Bill Clinton had to come forward, after the DNA evidence, and he had to tell the American people that he lied. But even in doing this, he tried to say, well, it wasn't as I understood it at that time. Listen to this.
Good evening. This afternoon in this room, from this chair, I testified before the Office of Independent Counsel and the grand jury. I answered their questions truthfully, including questions about my private life, questions no American citizen would ever want to answer. Still, I must take complete responsibility for all my actions, both public and private. And that is why I am speaking to you tonight. As you know, in a deposition in January, I was asked questions about my relationship with Monica Lewinsky. While my answers were legally accurate, I did not volunteer information. Indeed, I did have a relationship with Ms. Lewinsky that was not appropriate. In fact, it was wrong. It constituted a critical lapse in judgment and a personal failure on my part for which I am solely and completely responsible. But I told the grand jury today, and I say to you now, that at no time did I ask anyone to lie, to hide or destroy evidence, or to take any other unlawful action. I know that my public comments and my silence about this matter gave a false impression. I misled people, including even my wife.
No, you lied. And Hillary wasn't misled. Bill Clinton had a history of not keeping it in his pants. When Bill Clinton was governor, there were women accusing Bill Clinton back then. He still went on to run for president and won. That really wasn't supposed to happen, according to the establishment. George H.W. Bush was supposed to win re-election, so that really wasn't supposed to happen. And I have to say this as well. As a woman, you know. She knew it back then when he was governor. She knew it back when they were in college. Bill has never kept it in his pants. She stood by him because of political aspirations. So one has to ask themselves at some point, maybe this was a relationship of convenience, not necessarily one of romantic love throughout. Whatever the relationship was, Hillary knew. I'll let this go on for a little bit more here.
I deeply regret that. I can only tell you I was motivated by many factors. First, by a desire to protect myself from the embarrassment of my own conduct. I was also very concerned about protecting my family.
So, the desire to protect himself and his family. And who's to say he's not doing that now? Because Bill Clinton testified, and his opening statement, I think, would alarm many of you. Because despite the numerous pictures that we see of Bill Clinton with Jeffrey Epstein, and no, they're not all on business photos. Despite the numerous pictures that we see of Bill Clinton with young girls, their faces are covered, but they look very young with Epstein. He sat there and he lied. People are already calling it out on social media. You have to see his statement for yourself. But I do want to show you what Anna, I think this is Anna Paulina. I think I would say her name wrong. Yeah, Anna Paulina. What she said she has noticed so far from the testimonies. Listen to this.
What I will say is it has become very evident, even in the last 24 hours in lines of questioning, that Jeffrey Epstein was running an intelligence gathering operation. In my professional opinion, I do believe it was a honeypot operation. And I do believe that there's a list of individuals who did engage in trafficking, were given these plea deals, and I'm going to name those individuals right now. The first one would be Leslie Groff. The second one, Sarah Kellen. The third one, Nadia Markova. And the fourth one, Adriana Ross. All of these women engaged in the trafficking of minors as adults. They were working and complicit with Jeffrey Epstein's operation. And in my opinion, they are not to be given victim status because they did partake in harming young girls. I remember seeing in some of the files, some of these girls were, as young as 10, 11 years old and older. And so obviously we have a lot of work to do, but I did want to come and give an update and let you know that President Clinton, as of right now, is cooperative and answering all of our questions.
Notice that she said 4 women. So yes, there were women helping Jeffrey Epstein traffic these girls. It wasn't just Ghislaine Maxwell. What kind of a soulless woman do you have to be to do that to another female or to anybody? A lot of times people think it's just men. It's not.
And that it leads me to believe that if we can remove the partisan nature of this investigation, we actually might be able to get justice. And so I will be calling on the Oversight Committee to bring in those 4 individuals that I just listed. We will continue to conduct the investigation and provide updates shortly for all of you.
Reporters asking her a question.
In my opinion, I don't think the opinion of the committee, but I do believe that Jeffrey Epstein was targeting many politicians, many influential people, especially in regards to economic policy, etc. And I do believe that it was possible that not just him, but likely Secretary Clinton, as well as a number of other people, were targeted due to an intelligence gathering operation. I think the American people will agree with me on that. But again, I don't want to get into too much of the specifics of the deposition, and I will be able to tell you at least once this is over, and we will be also trying to release those recordings from Secretary's deposition yesterday, as well as President Clinton's as soon as possible.
So yeah, just confirming what we've been saying for quite some time and what Whitney Webb said years ago, which is that he was targeting certain politicians, not just politicians, but also royalty as well, businessmen, etc. Bill Clinton's opening statement, I think, should give everybody pause here. Like, this is just absolutely pathetic. Here it is.
We just got former President Bill Clinton's statement ahead of his deposition today with the House Oversight Committee. MS Now's Ali Vitale is back with us. What is the former president saying, Ali?
Well, Anna, we know this deposition is underway behind closed doors. And just like yesterday, when Hillary Clinton testified, we are now getting a written portion of the opening statement that former President Bill Clinton is expected to deliver, or is delivering right now as we speak behind closed doors. There's a few parts of it that I want to pull out. First, I'll start with what he says about Hillary Clinton, where he says, "I have to get personal. You made Hillary come in. She had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein." Nothing, Clinton is expected to say. She has no memory of even meeting him. She neither traveled with him nor visited any of his properties. Whether you subpoenaed 10 people or 10,000, including her, was simply not right.
As I proved the other night with the Hillary testimony, that is false. Plenty of evidence of that in the files. She definitely knew Jeffrey Epstein, but what we revealed last night is that Jeffrey Epstein was very careful not to be seen with her in a public space.
Clinton then goes on to talk about what they are going to hear from him and the photos and other visits and relationships that he had with Epstein. Clinton will say, "I know what I saw, and more importantly, what I didn't see. I know what I did, and more importantly, what I didn't do." He says, "I saw nothing that ever gave me pause. We're only here because Epstein hid it from everyone so well for so long." And by the time it came to light with his 2008 guilty plea, Clinton says he had long stopped associating with him.
Do you guys believe that everyone was hidden from what Jeffrey Epstein was doing? Do you really believe that? Let me be very clear about something. I don't believe that any of these people didn't know. Any of them. I don't care what political party they're from. I don't care who they are. I said the same thing about Noam Chomsky. I don't care who they are, where they're from, what their title was, what political party they were affiliated with. I don't care. These people knew. And Bill Clinton, of all people, is in numerous pictures, which will show you, with these females. You cannot sit up here and tell me this.
He also warns the committee that they are likely to hear him say throughout his testimony, "I don't recall." Speaking to that, he's going to say that might be unsatisfying, but I'm not going to say something I'm not sure of. This was all a long time ago, and I'm bound by my oath not to speculate or to guess. This is not merely for my benefit, but because it doesn't help you, for me to play detective 24 years later. He's going to finish with a similarly defiant tone from Hillary Clinton yesterday saying, "With that, Mr. Chairman, fire away." Again, just giving us a little bit more of a sense, Anna, of what is happening in these private depositions that the Clintons did ask at first to be public, but are now happening behind closed doors in the building behind me.
So again, first of all of it should be public. I don't care who's testifying. Two, what did I tell you? I don't recall. That is the talking point that all of them are using. Les Wexner used that talking point. So did Hillary. Bill used that talking point. That's just a legal way of not implicating yourself, but also kind of not committing perjury. Because if you just say that you don't really remember, then they can't really say, well, you lied on the stand. You'll say, well, no, I didn't, because I told you I just didn't remember. It's a cop-out. If Bill Clinton remembers Monica Lewinsky and his relationship with her, he will remember his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and all the things that he did with Jeffrey Epstein. We told you the other night that Hillary and Bill Clinton went to Zorro Ranch multiple times. You mean to tell me they never saw Jeffrey Epstein when they went to his house? That's like you saying to me, hey, Sabby, I'm coming to your house and I'm not here. That's like someone coming to your house multiple times, but you are never there. Now, one of the things I want to show you, because he's really implicating himself here. This is him on Twitter. As someone who grew up in a home with domestic abuse, not only would I not have flown on his plane if I had any inkling of what he was doing, I would have turned him in myself and led the call for justice for his crimes, not sweetheart deals. First of all, just because you grew up in a home with domestic abuse doesn't mean that you yourself would not be an abuser. It also doesn't mean that you would report domestic abuse or any type of abuse that you see. That's not necessarily true. Two, he says he would have turned them in himself. Not if you're implicated, you don't. Not if Jeffrey Epstein has something on you, you don't. Not if he's blackmailing you, you don't. As I told you before, Bill Clinton has never been known to keep it in his pants. Some of the pictures, some of the ones that we can show, some of the pictures with Bill Clinton, shout out to Power to the People. He's been keeping it real all day on this. Bill Clinton is set to testify in the House Epstein probe. If you're defending Bill Clinton today, then you don't care about the victims. Clinton is all over the Epstein files, just like Trump is. Justice is about standing up for the victims, not a political party. I'm going to touch on that in just a second. Look at the pictures. These are just a few. Here's Bill Clinton with Epstein. They're wearing these silk shirts back when that was a thing. Does that look like business to you? No, it looks like a party. Here's Bill Clinton with a young female with her arm around his neck. Now her face is redacted for protection purposes, but she looked young to me. Don't she look young to you? This was a married man. Now, Bill Clinton is saying he did nothing wrong. He did not act inappropriately. But we all know Bill Clinton is known for not keeping it in his pants. Whether it was Miss Flowers, whether it was Juanita Broderick, whether it was Monica Lewinsky, these are just the ones we know about. He was known for not keeping it in his pants. And Hillary knew that. And she protected him every single time, not just because he was her husband, but because she had her own political aspirations. Some of that came to light, the other part didn't. But her goal was also to become president of the United States. She said that, after she lost in her book, as she was reading this excerpt from her book, she said, when I was a little girl, I look back at that little girl and know that one day she'll be president, or she could think that she'll be president one day. Now you can remember all that going back to when you were a little kid. But when it comes to something that happened 20 something years ago, you don't recall. When we look at the other pictures, Bill Clinton here in what appears to be a hot tub. We believe this other woman here was Ghislaine Maxwell. We're not sure. The face is redacted, which is weird if that's Ghislaine, but some people said that's Ghislaine Maxwell. I'm not certain. But anyway, no top on. Obviously, you can't see the tatas here, but there are other photos of this as well where they are clearly not wearing a swimsuit. You know what I'm saying? Where the woman was not. But he did nothing inappropriate. This is what I'm talking about. Here's another picture here with Bill Clinton, again, with what appears to be a young female. We don't know the age or whatever, but if I were to make a guess here, I would say they look like they are not of age. And he is sitting there telling people, I didn't do anything inappropriately. I don't recall. I didn't know any of this stuff was going on. Don't forget the massage pictures of Bill Clinton and all these pictures that have been taken. These people are liars. Don't forget, again, we can also show you Bill Clinton will try to claim he never knew Jeffrey Epstein or doesn't recall. Bill Clinton flew on Epstein's plane 27 times. Jeffrey Epstein visited Bill Clinton's White House 17 times. Files show Clinton and Epstein traveled to Africa and allegedly abused women under the guise of the Clinton Foundation. Jeffrey Epstein and Bill Clinton were business partners, but they want you to believe that they don't even know. And let me pull this up here. Flight logs, right up here highlighted in yellow. President William J. Clinton. This was the Africa trip because there's Chris Tucker, who also went there. There's Kevin Spacey. JE is probably Jeffrey Epstein, and GM is probably Ghislaine Maxwell. September 2002, blank was on Jeffrey Epstein's private jet. On the jet with them was Bill Clinton, David Spade. By the way, it's Bill Clinton and his staffers. So staffers knew too. David Spade, Doug Bland, 4 of 5 Secret Service agents, Kevin Spacey, Chris Tucker, Ronald Burkle, Casey Wasserman, and his wife, Rodney Slater, who was the Secretary of Transportation, Ghislaine Maxwell, and about 4 young women, aged 20 to 22 years old, allegedly. Yada, yada, yada. A masseuse, a model. But they want you to believe that he knew nothing, which I don't believe it. I said it about all of them. Here's another one here from the Epstein files. Listen to this one. Did Jeffrey ever talk to you about Bill Clinton? Here's the answer. He said one time that Clinton likes them young, referring to girls. But he don't know nothing about nothing. And another thing that people need to look at, and I think this is one of the ones that doesn't get discussed enough. Remember the Oslo Accords? You see, now it's being revealed that Jeffrey Epstein was connected to that too. The Oslo Accords is something that was pushed by Bill Clinton during his presidential administration. Al Jazeera was on it. Compromised peace. Oslo Accords figure deeply linked to Epstein network. Yeah. So you see this picture? See, the Oslo Accords was one of those deals. Let me just zoom out a little bit. Was one of those other deals that was presented to the Palestinians. And it was another deal where basically they would lose even more land. So they tell you, well, they didn't accept the Oslo Accords, but they don't get into the details about what that agreement actually entailed. Right? So listen to this. Actually, I'll make it a little bit bigger for you. The Norwegian diplomat who was a key architect of the 1993 Oslo Accords is facing a storm of corruption and blackmail allegations after new documents revealed he was deeply embedded in the inner circle of late sex offender and financier Jeffrey Epstein. Torge Rod Larson, I hope I'm pronouncing his first name correctly. Torge Rod Larson, a central figure in the Middle East peace process in the 1990s, is implicated in the newly released U.S. Justice Department files and Norwegian media investigations that expose a relationship involving illicit loans, visa fraud for sex trafficked women, and a beneficiary clause in Epstein's will worth millions of dollars. This guy was included in Jeffrey Epstein's will. The revelations have sent shockwaves through the diplomatic community and led to the resignation of Rod Larson's wife, Mona Jewel, herself a pivotal figure in the Oslo negotiations. From her post as Norway's ambassador to Jordan and Iraq this month, her security clearance was also revoked. Palestinian leaders are now questioning whether the Oslo foundational agreements of the two-state solution were brokered by a mediator vulnerable to elite blackmail and foreign intelligence pressure. The plan was heralded in the Western world at the time, and in 30 years since has been trampled on by successive Israeli governments, with the far-right leadership now openly pushing for annexation of the occupied West Bank. So, Torge, okay, because you need to understand this, Torge, who was the Norwegian diplomat, was buddy-buddy with Jeffrey Epstein. In fact, he was so close to Jeffrey Epstein that Epstein was willing to leave him a portion in his will. And Bill Clinton is the one who pushed the Oslo Accords. And you mean to tell me all these people don't roll together? This means that Jeffrey Epstein was allegedly behind the Oslo Accords and used the Norwegian diplomat to push it via blackmail. So if he used the Norwegian diplomat to push it, I'm pretty sure he used Bill Clinton to push it. Which again, like I said, the Oslo Accords took more land from the Palestinian people. It wasn't a real two-state solution as they frame it. It actually was taking more land away from them. That's why they didn't accept it. Crazy thing about all of this is Donald Trump is out here defending Bill Clinton again.
Concerned at all about President Bill Clinton being deposed and that sets precedent for you and your family?
I don't like seeing him deposed, but, they certainly went after me a lot more than that. I don't like seeing him. Look, I like him, and I don't like seeing him deposed.
So he said he does not like Bill Clinton being deposed. He also goes on to say that he likes Bill Clinton. And I'm glad this is all coming out in the open, because this proves what I've been telling you for quite some time. Guys, all these people are friends. The game that they play in front of you, this whole partisan divide, it's a game. And it goes back and forth. This time it's the Republican side. This time it's the Democrat side. Both parties, they go back and forth. The White House may be red this year. It's blue like the next time around. All of these people have one thing in common, and that's class. Donald Trump is a billionaire. Bill Clinton is not a billionaire, but he's billionaire adjacent. So the people who are billionaire adjacent, who also swim in this ocean with the billionaires, they're just as complicit. They're just happy to be a part of the club. They consider themselves to be lucky because they're not billionaires, but they can still get some of these same perks. So they want to stay where they're at. You get what I'm saying? So Donald Trump is Bill Clinton's friend. Still till this day, they are buddies. and all the back and forth bittering that you see from them from social media or on corporate news, it is a game. It is an act. We are the audience, and that is all theater. At the end of the day, they both protect the status quo. They both protect the establishment, and they don't fight for us. And that's what people need to get through their heads. You understand me? This is not a partisan game anymore. They divide us between red and blue so that we're fighting over social issues. But both of those parties maintain the status quo and protect the billionaire class, protect the oligarchy, and protects the establishment. And it protects corruption. That's his homie. Till this day, even when you go back and you look at this picture, you can look at this and say, that was a long time ago. Yes, we know they were friends back then. But Donald Trump just told you to your face. That is his friend. He likes him still to this day. These people protect each other, and they've been doing that for a long time. And I want everybody to fully understand this. Rich people protect other rich people. Billionaires protect billionaires. And those who are billionaire adjacent protect those billionaires too. They protect their class interests. They don't protect yours. Corruption is not partisan. Corruption cannot be partisan when it's based on power, which is based on class. Poor people don't have control. Billionaires do. And what's really sad for me to see is the way that people are willing to fight for their political party over fighting for these damn victims. That's the sad part about all of this. Anyone who is out there that has been a victim of sexual assault, sexual abuse, sexual violence, I am so sorry. Because the way that people are talking about these files in a partisan way, it is absolutely disgusting. They're not fighting for you. They're not fighting for justice for you. They're fighting for their damn team. And that's sad. Hey guys, this was a Sabby clip. If you like what you saw, hit that like button and subscribe.